Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing good, doing good. Um, it's a hot day here in sunny Florida, but I'm happy to see another day. So, by now, I guess you saw the title, which probably made you point and click. And I want to talk a little bit about reinventing yourself at age 50 or over. And I use that number age 50 and over because that's usually the time period where some sort of cycle takes place, both mentally, physically, but it very well could be 45. You could be 45 and have to reinvent yourself. You could be any age and have to reinvent yourself, to be honest with you. But reinventing yourself later, at a point in life when you're like, over 40, and you've been working, since you were 21, 23 years old, and then suddenly you got to reinvent yourself. It can play a lot on you with your psyche. You know what I mean? It can play a lot on you psychologically. Um, just to tell you a little bit about my story. So, I went to college, Norfolk State University. Behold the green and gold, mighty Spartans, and graduated from Norfolk State in 1993 with a degree in mechanical design, engineering, technology. Came When I came out of school, the computer industry was really just starting to really like, computer industry has always been around, but it really got hot like right when I graduated from college. It exploded because the internet was on the rise. It wasn't what it is today. The internet was kind of trying to evolve. It was just trying to come out with something. It used to have was called the BBS, the billboard system. So it was all text. It was all text. Now that didn't last very long before it evolved into more than just text. And into what we see today. Um, I would say that whole BBS system probably lasted maybe, just off the top of my head, maybe a year, maybe 2 years before it evolved into like what we have now. But so graduated from school, moved to um, the Washington D.C. metropolitan area, which are called the DMV, and so while I was there, I kind of I got there, kind of worked a few little odd jobs. You know how it is, get out of college. It's very rare that you break right into something that either you went to school for, or you break into something that, hey, this is my meal ticket. It's rare. It happens. If it does happen, it is a blessing. And I say that to those young people who are in that place right now. Don't get discouraged. It's the norm. You have to evolve. You have to learn. You have to learn early how to adapt. And a lot of times, the work that you put in college pays off later. Even when you come out of college and that big job that maybe you've been hoping for, or you were looking to get, and you landed. There's still a process of evolving, right? So sometimes you evolve while you're in the position, sometimes you evolve while you're out of the position, but either way, you're evolving, right? So time is not being wasted. But so I was working a couple of odd and end jobs, you know, UPS. What else did I work? I picked up a couple of temp jobs here and there, but all along the tech industry was really starting to boom. Like I said, the internet was like starting to take off. And so I ended up, after working like a few short-term contract positions in the computer industry, the IT world. I broke into a more of a long-term uh, IT project with a major worldwide bank. I won't say the name of it, but I was with a worldwide bank that had a long contract there for about 23 years. I was there for 23 years on the same contract, which was really rare. It was really a blessing to be on a IT contract that long, right? Where I wasn't a direct employee of the company, but I was literally contracted for 23 years in this one place. But you know, 23 years went by, and in 2018, there was a big there was a big movement to offshore a lot of IT operations. In 2018, a lot of companies were starting to coming into the place where they're offshoring a lot of IT operations, right? So myself and a lot of other people were caught up in that transition, and it was time for us to go. We had to move on after 23 years. So after I left there, uh, I worked a I worked a few short-term contracts. I ended up getting on with a contract with the federal government for a while. That wasn't a long term. It may have lasted about, I would say, about a year. And from that point, from that point, that was when I really started to feel like, okay, at that point, I think I wasn't 50 yet. I was almost 50. I was in my late 40s, and I'm 52 now. But I was in my late 40s, so it wasn't that long ago. But I found myself in a place where, okay, you know, the job offers weren't hot. They weren't like what I felt like I should have been getting, right? I had all these years of experience, worked in major institutions, worked in banking, worked in government, worked in education. I was the IT guy in many different industries, right? So having that experience, I'm thinking like, hey, I should be able to hop on anywhere, right? But it didn't necessarily work like that. It didn't work that way because even though as we all age moment by moment, technology is constantly changing. Like at one point, it's about every 6 months, things change. You could be whatever you're working on. There's an upgrade from that. Within 6 months from the time it first comes out. Now it's more so about every 3 months. Whatever you're working on, there's an upgrade to that. Within 3 months, you may be working on the latest and greatest, but within 3 months, boom, it's something else now that's better than that, or even that very thing may have upgraded to another level, right? Maybe it went to another version or something like that. So I found myself by the time I hit like 50, I was like, man, this is getting kind of rugged. This is getting kind of rough. I got a fam, I got a wife, I got children. My children in college. You know, the timing was not right at all. The timing wasn't. It's never a good time, okay, to go through something like that. But the timing was just rough. I still had a lot of responsibilities. So it definitely was a challenge, right? So I had to find a way to focus on reinventing me. Reinventing me. And reinvention is not something that happens like overnight. Like, oh, I think I'm going to reinvent myself, and you hit a switch, and tomorrow you're reinvented. It doesn't work like that, right? Reinvention is a process. It takes you time. Like I said, I'm 52 now. I would say at age 50, I realized that the reinvention had to take place. So I started reinvent myself. I started the process. And so the process of reinventing myself at 50 years old and, you know, evolving in that plays a lot on my psyche. It plays a lot on your psyche. And anybody who's ever had to go through this knows that reinventing yourself, it plays a lot on your psyche. Especially if when you're getting, you're getting further on in age, it play a lot on your psyche. I thank God I'm in good health. Um, I can still, do if I wanted to go shoot ball right now, I'd go play ball. It's not really an issue, but it's still the fact that I'm not that 20-year-old. You know what I'm saying? I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not 25. I'm 52. So, dealing with that in your psyche is what challenges us all. People have to reinvent themselves, or people get up in age and suddenly, whether the rug got pulled out from up under them or something happened and their whole life changed, and now they have to reinvent themselves. It's a psychological battle. The battle is in the mind. The battle is totally in the mind. It is a mental thing that if you don't grab a hold of it, then it will grab a hold of you and wrestle you down. You'll be stressed. You may find yourself in a hospital, God forbid. Um, you know, some people, may need counseling, which is not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, I suggest that, whenever you go through any type of trauma like that, because it is a form of trauma, right? I know sometimes we don't like to, when we say trauma, we think in something that like, maybe somebody died, or, you know, you had something that happened to you and it shocked you, and so much so that you zoned out, or, turned into somebody else, or started doing something that wasn't advantageous to yourself or your family, or the people around you. But trauma can be very subtle. Trauma can be very subtle. Trauma can be, you might not think you're traumatized, but your mind is feeling the trauma because you're having to make an adjustment. Can you imagine? And those of you who can kind of understand what I'm saying, or you're walking through this, or you've been through it already, please leave a comment down below in the comment section. But it can be very traumatic to, your career seem to be steamrolling straight ahead, and then suddenly, boom, you hit a brick wall. You hit a brick wall, and then everything you reach for, you can't grab. It's like grabbing for air. You're swinging the air. You're hitting nothing. You're sending out resumes. You're doing everything. You be doing your resume. You're trying to get it all done. And it's like you're swinging it there. It's like nobody wants you. The phone's not ringing. Nobody's asking you any questions. You're getting the basic emails, and then they never hear from them again. So all this stuff starts playing with your psyche. And if you're not careful, you'll start getting low. You'll start feeling depressed. You'll start feeling, like you're less than. You'll start, if that continues to go on, you'll start being paranoid, wondering what people thinking about you. Oh, they probably think I'm a bum. They try to figure out I'm nothing. All the stuff starts running through your head. Is running through your head right now, right? So how do you transition from contending with that to being stable-minded and continuing in your flow, right? The first thing you have to do is really prepare your mindset and understand that, number one, it's okay. It's okay. You're not a bum. You're not a do nothing. Nobody's don't worry about what other people are thinking. It's enough to contend to what you're thinking about yourself. To go and worry about what somebody else is thinking is even more detrimental to your health. That's like putting an extra weight on top of you and bringing you down a lot faster. So what you have to do is learn to focus, number one, on you. You have to focus on you. You have to be truthful with yourself. You have to look in the mirror and be truthful with yourself in the morning and say, look, how's my mental health? If you're married, talk to your spouse about it, right? If you're not married, find somebody that you can talk to about, look, this is how I'm really feeling right now. I'm battling this thing. I'm trying to push through it. I'm doing everything I can, but it's just like it's like, I don't know, I'm feeling low, right? And people that are around you, or if you're around someone who's going through something like this, pay attention to that person, right? Pay attention, right? When I say pay attention, I'm not saying be all up in their face, but I'm saying pay attention to their movements. Pay attention to the things they say. Ask them, engage them in conversation about how everything is going, how you feeling. Ask them, how are you feeling? And don't settle for I'm doing okay. Dig for the real answer. Because sometimes people right around you that are contending with these things, they right around you, and in some cases, they're literally on the brink of falling over. They're literally on the brink of checking themselves out of here because they feel low. Listen, especially, and I'm gonna say, and this is, I'm gonna say this especially towards men, because men are looked at as being providers. They're looked at as being strong. They're the provider. Everything is, it's on you. If something doesn't work right in this house or goes down, it's on you, right? If we can't do something, it's on you, right? This is the burden that we carry, even if it's just a thought. The seed is there because how the world has put us in this bubble, right? The world has put us in this bubble, and so it's up to you to pop that bubble. But again, it comes back to your mindset. You have to learn to number one, you have to stay focused. You have to stay focused on and always be true to self. Always be true to self. If you're not feeling good, say you're not feeling good. Say I'm not having a good day today. You can't expect people to just read your mind. Be honest with people around you. Say, look, I'm just not feeling well. This stuff has just been overwhelming, man. I haven't been able to get anything. I worked this one job for 20 something years or however long I was there. And now there's nothing happening. Everything I reach for is like I'm getting rejected. Everywhere I go, it's a closed door, closed door, closed door, closed door, closed door. But let me tell you what closed doors do for you. Okay? Let me tell you what closed doors do for you. Closed doors come to give you direction. I'm going to say it again. Closed doors always give you direction in life. They always guide you to where you're supposed to go. The reason you know that if you're in a room, the reason you know the exit is because all the walls are closed off except for the opening that you can walk through. So, but if you're in a dark room and there's no light and you can't see, what do? You start feeling your way out. As you're feeling, you know that you haven't found the exit yet because your hands are hitting the wall. But the moment your hand pushes through an open space, you know that's the exit. That's the way out. But it was the walls that guided you to the exit. It was the walls that guided you to the exit. So don't get so overwhelmed with doors closing in your face because they're coming to get you direction. Listen, the universe is very loving, it's very caring, and the universe has your assignment in mind. The universe has your assignment in mind. One thing that I found out that God, or some of you may call him the creator, the higher being, whatever he is to you, but I'll use the universal term God. God created the universe in such a way that it cares for man. It cares for man. And the universe will cause things to happen in order to get you back into the alignment where you're supposed to be. Let me tell you something. Even the losses that you incurred, they had to happen in order to get you to destiny. If you stayed there any longer in that place, you would have missed your destiny. You would have missed your very purpose for being in the earth. Listen, the universe is more concerned about you hitting the target of your destiny and you moving in your purpose than you losing something. Than you losing a job, losing a car, losing a house, losing a relationship. The universe is more concerned with why you are here and trying to get everything in alignment so that you can fulfill that purpose. Even what you're going through right now, it's all working for your good because the universe understood and the universe knows that if you had stayed in that situation or if that thing had stayed in your hands too much longer, if you had too much control that you were feeling so comfortable, you would have never been launched into your destiny. You would have never lived a life that was full of purpose. So the universe had to make some adjustments for you. Had to make some adjustments for you. No matter where you are, listen to me, no matter where you are, no matter what you're contending with, I don't care if you're 45, I don't care if you're 55, I don't care if you're 65, I don't care if you're 75, I don't care if you're 85, I don't care if you're 95. If major adjustment happened in your life, just receive it and say thank you. I'm extremely grateful because if I had stayed in that place or if I had that thing longer than what I was supposed to, I would have missed my destiny. I would have missed my purpose. Listen, life is all about impact. It's about making impact in the lives of other people. It's about making impact in the earth as a total. Life is about making a change in the earth for the better. Will the earth know you when you're gone? Will the earth know your name when you're gone? I'm not just talking about because your name is on the tombstone. I'm talking about because there's people that were impacted by you that will continuously bringing your name up. Or they continue to live and they're benefiting from something that you said, you did, you told them. They're benefiting from that, whether they know it came from you or not. Understand, that is the whole purpose, even behind your losses. Because you had to get closer to destiny, closer to moving in your purpose. You can't afford to be stuck in the same place doing the same thing for the rest of your days if it's not part of your purpose. If it's part of your purpose, if that's your destiny, then yes, you stay in that position, you stay in that place. But if it's not, eventually you're going to have to move. And I would even go on to say that some of you, and I even had this experience myself. I knew down, even though I was on that job for 23 years, I'm telling you, by the time I got to year 10, I felt it down in my, I like to say down in my knower. You know how you know something, you feel that thing down on the inside of you, right? Some people say it's God talking to them. Some people just say, I just have this feeling down on the inside of me. Well, yeah, I had that. I had that very thing. I felt that down on the inside of me that I was supposed to exit, that my exit was coming. I was supposed to get out of there, right? But you know what amazes me? That the universe will move you by force or by choice. The universe will move you or strip you of something because it's in the way of you becoming who you've been sent to be in the earth or do what you've been called to do. The universe will strip it from you, right? But before that happens, you usually get an inclination. You'll feel it down in your knower, right? You'll feel it. You'll feel it down in here. You're like, man, I know. I know that this is not the place. I know it's time for me to go. I know. Maybe you got too complacent. Maybe you felt you was too comfortable. Maybe you started to look for something, but then you stopped. All that stuff kind of goes through your head. But you knew before it happened. You saw it. You felt it. In most cases, sometimes maybe you didn't. Maybe because you were so caught up emotionally and mentally tied into what you were doing that you missed the nudge. You missed the nudge, like, hey, get ready. Start. It's like tapping you on the shoulder. Get ready. Start preparing yourself. Start learning new things. Start looking into that thing that you said you've been wanting to do. Start working on that right now, because the time coming is that this door is going to close. It's going to be time for you to move on. But you ignore it, right? You ignore it, or it comes very subtle. Then you just kind of let it go and just ignore it, right? So I understand. I know. I've been there. I've done that. I've been there. I've done that. But the moment that I caught wind and I began to understand that how life evolves and how God has a plan and a purpose for all of us, and that everything is constantly moving. Nothing is still. Do you realize that? Nothing is still. Everything is in a vibratory realm like this. Everything. Even listen, even you're looking at me by this video, but at a deeper magnitude, you can't tell because the camera holds me in position, but there's still movement. There's movement going on. There's movement. The wall behind me is moving. It's steady vibrating, but we can't tell because it's moving at such a higher rate that the natural eye can't see it unless it slows down. Then we'll begin to see things things are moving, things are shaking, right? But it's moving at such a high rate that we can't tell that the wall behind me is moving. There's vibration is always moving. Things are always floating towards you, and things are always vibrating away from you. Because one of the things I found out scientifically, did you know that that the mind lets out vibratory waves up to 10 feet from where you are? Like, where, as I'm sitting here talking to you right now, the vibrations from my brain are going out like 10 feet, right? Now, in this room, there's nobody else in this room at the moment. But when you step into rooms that are full of people, you end up being drawn to other individuals who are vibrating at the same level you are, from the same thought process. They have the similar like goals. You ever run into somebody and say, wow, I just can't believe I just met this person. They doing this too, and they doing that, and this happened, and that's happened. Oh, it's just such coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's because the time you've been spending, whatever you've been thinking on, it's loosening that vibration, right? And it could be from a broad spectrum. It may not be anything particular, but it is something within a certain scope, right? And so it's going to draw you to people who are operating on that same scope, and they themselves are vibrating right at high levels mentally. And so the vibrations end up coming together, and it ended up drawing you with those individuals. You end up getting connected to them some kind of way, right? So understand that that's why it's so important that even when you're going through transition, all right, when you're going through transition, that you don't isolate yourself. Never isolate yourself when you are going through transition. Because one of the things that we don't realize in this world is that we're all one. There's only one mind, and there's only one body in the earth. We're just pieces of that body. Our mental aspects are pieces of that one mind. Right. So we are one mind. So it's not healthy for you to isolate yourself because there are other individuals that are carrying some pieces that you need in order to advance. Whatever you do, don't isolate yourself in the midst of going through heavy transition. Do not isolate yourself. That's the worst thing you can do. You can slow down the process. You'll slow down the process by isolating yourself. Right? But ever since COVID broke out, isolation kind of has been the norm, right? Even though things kind of loosen up a little bit, we're still being careful, still being cognizant and mindful of certain things. So the isolation, movement is still in play. But thank God for things like the internet, YouTube, Facebook, all these other social things, which are good when they're used, with some limitations. Right? So, but understand, don't isolate yourself. That's the worst thing you can do. Isolation will end up shutting you down. It will move you into a corner. It'll cause that depression to creep up on you because other people carry pieces to what you need. One of the things that I realized, I was telling a group of people, I was saying, relationships is the new currency. Relationships is the new currency, even though it's been a currency, because before the internet and email and all that stuff came out, people were strongly dependent on physical relationships, like being places and being around people, right? But that kind of fell off as things started to evolve. Social media came into place, right? Even though they call it social media, there's still, there's still room to duck and dodge. There's still room for many people to come on and be something that they're not. To be something that they're not. So you don't know. They got all these shows, what they call catfish, where the person thought they was talking to somebody, but then they meet them and it's really not what the person claimed they were, right? It's a lot of catfishing going on in many different ways, not just in love connections, but also in business connections. All on social media, catfishing is coming in all kinds of ways, right? I had a terrible situation where I was doing business with an organization, but this organization wasn't what they claimed they were. And then one day, after 3 years of being in a business relationship with them, they vanished, and I lost a lot of money. They vanished after 3 years. However, they had been in existence for about 15 years, had a lot of people, a lot of business relationships themselves, thousands of people that were part of this business, but then suddenly the people vanished, they disappeared, poof, right? So it's kind of easier for people to catfish. At the business level, at the relationship level, at every level, it's kind of easy for them to catfish, right? So you have to be careful, but you don't want to totally isolate yourself. You don't want to limit yourself when you're going through these kind of transitional states in life. You don't want to limit yourself to just social media. You don't want to do that. Go out and meet people. Go out with the intention to meet people. See, intention is important. Intention is what causes things to manifest in your life. Right? My intention when I go out for a walk, my intention is to get exercise, to lose weight, so I'm intentionally doing it, and those things are manifesting, right? Those things are happening, right? Everything is an intention. Every move I make is an intention. Every move I make, I don't care if it's you walking, you're in the mall and you want to go to the food court. Be intentional about what place you go to, and then turn around and be intentional about where you sit. Right? When you get over to that food court area, you're looking around, you surveying the court, seeing what's what, seeing what's going on, seeing who's, trying to locate who has the energy that you're in agreement with. Right? So when you get your food, you turn and you're like, okay, I'm gonna sit over here because I like something about this area right here seems right. Next thing you know, you sitting there, and then bam, you end up meeting somebody, you're talking about something, somebody asks you a question. Next thing you know, you find out you've been vibrating on the same frequency, right? So we have to understand that as we go through these transitions in life, you can't control the transition. You can't control the transition. No matter how much you try to stop it, you can't control it, because the universe already knows your purpose. It knows where you're supposed to be. And the universe is very obedient to the way God created it. It's not going to go against what God said. The universe is obedient. The universe is constantly